Jerry. Jerry is basically the cult leader parrot of the Backrooms. He's Entity 7, a strange bird that looks like a blue and white macaw parrot and has a very weird hobby of making people obsess over him whenever they touch him, forcing them to repeat things like, "Jerry is everything," "Jerry is what I live for," and "All hail Jerry," until they vanish, probably to his base called Jerry's Room, where his followers hang out chanting and worshiping him like he's a fuzzy feathered messiah. And this indoctrination is his signature move, so serious fans or unlucky wanderers get turned into his cult members almost instantly whenever physical contact is made, without trying to tame him first by offering sunflower seeds or almond water, which can calm him enough that you don't immediately turn into a brainwashed parrot worshiper, though only the person who fed him seems to benefit, making a run for it preferable if you're not into feathered gurus. Jerry mainly lurks around the Backrooms levels where people get lost, like level 1 or level 2, and has this uncanny knack for wandering around or sitting on a perch while chanting followers kneel before him and spread his gospel. And though he looks like a harmless bird, his mind control powers and culty effect make him one of the more bizarre and talked about entities in Backrooms lore.
Partygoer. Partygoer in the Backrooms is basically what happens when a party gets way out of hand and biology completely loses its mind. In the canonical Backrooms lore, they are the horrifying result of the sanguine festivus virus infecting a human wanderer so badly that they become an entity everyone calls a partygoer, and instead of dancing, they shuffle around like a broken piñata covered in crude, smiling stains and gore, because the virus messes up both body and brain, and makes them obsessed with finding and spreading the infection further, turning anyone unlucky into another one of them. So the party never dies, and neither should you if you don't run really fast. This version is basically humans gone gangly and terrifying because festivity met malice, and medicine said nope, and they're so unpredictable and aggressive that coming within arm's reach is a great way to become the next guest at the endless party that bites and bites back, blissfully murdering and spreading chaos wherever they lurk in level fun, and whatever Backrooms corner still have enough balloons to make you go, uh-oh. Meanwhile, in the game Escape the Backrooms, they're simpler, scary yellow humanoids holding balloons that stand still until they spot you, and then chase you like someone who heard the cake is right behind you. And remember that running and hiding under a table is not weird in this setting. It's strategy, because these guys do not party politely.
Smiler. Smiler in the Backrooms is Entity 3, a creepy, grinning horror that's basically the universe's way of telling you that your nightmares have bad taste in decor, recognizable by its terrifying, glowing eyes and gleaming smile that seem to float in the dark with no body you can actually see, and leaving you wondering if it's a spooky ghost or just a shadow that had too much caffeine. Smilers are extremely hostile and tend to laze in dark corners and corridors in many levels, especially dim ones like level 2 and level 3. And when you turn on a light, they get all excited like a moth on espresso and chase after it because light is basically their kryptonite. So if you want to survive, you're supposed to keep eye contact and back away slowly without screaming like you just stepped on a Lego. Their origin is a bit mysterious, and nobody really knows when they were first seen because they're so common, but the earliest modern mention was from someone who ran from a glowy smiling thing in the Backrooms, and before that, groups like The Lost had whispered about the ones that smile long ago, so they're basically an old, spooky legend come to life in a labyrinth of fluorescent horror. They might not have a physical body. It's rumored they're made of darkness itself, with maybe alien-like limbs nobody's been wise enough to confirm yet. And the best way to trick one is to throw your light source far away and hope it's a worse procrastinator than you.
The Bacteria. The Bacteria is basically the creepy stick figure nightmare from the Backrooms franchise that fans sometimes call the Lifeform or Lifeform Fellow, and occasionally joke about calling Marvin's friend, even though it's out there murdering folks for fun. It shows up as a tall, lanky black humanoid with twiggy arms and legs that almost look like someone's old TV antenna collection fused with yarn and bad intentions, and it's infamous for stalking, chasing, and killing anyone unlucky enough to no-clip into its domain inside the endless yellow halls. Origin stories are murky enough that you could lose a good pair of socks in them, but the official lore pages say it's connected to a mutated strain of Hay bacillus bacteria that may have hitched a ride into the Backrooms through a threshold or evolved out of people who died there. So think of it as a biological horror crossover that regretted ever leaving the petri dish. The bacteria might have been there before any weird wall showed up and could be part of the backroom ecosystem itself, meaning you're not just running from a monster, you're running from evolution gone comically wrong. It can mimic voices, stalk its prey, and generally ruin your day in ways that make you wish you just stayed on your couch instead of exploring a glitch in reality.
The windows. The windows in the Backrooms are a very strange and spooky kind of entity that you could call Entity 2. In level 188, certain ordinary windows in the endless hotel-like corridors can be replaced by a window entity, and these fake windows show shadowy figures motioning for you to come inside. And those rooms are absolutely not places you want to visit, because they tend to lead to trouble rather than a friendly cup of tea. The windows are not just haunted panes of glass, but physical manifestations of a predatory thought space made up of sustained cognitive thought, which means they pop into existence on any surface that looks like a window, even if it should not logically be there. And once created, they stay until they start to die out and collapse. Each window shows a different landscape that your brain insists is familiar, even though it makes no actual sense. And that is part of the trap, because the entity uses your own perception and your desire to escape the backrooms to lure you closer. These windows do not walk around, but they do whisper to you, and may even reach a spectral arm out through the frame to pull you in. So they are really not good conversationalists and even less good hosts.
Hound. Hound, officially known as Entity 8 in the Backrooms lore, is basically what you'd get if a very angry dog decided humans taste like bad decisions and learned to walk on all fours just to chase wanderers more efficiently. These freaky quadrupedal humanoids have long black hair, gnarly claws, and giant mouths full of jagged teeth that stay hidden until you're way too close for comfort, and they'll go out of their way to maul anyone who looks even slightly hostile or annoying. They don't just randomly cough up fur and bones for fun either. Hounds are super aggressive and will immediately drop their best "you look funny" growl when they spot a human, though weirdly staring them down for a moment can intimidate them just long enough for you to scramble away like a contestant on a horror reality show. These snarling nightmares hatch from eggs that come from something called the hive, and because no one actually knows when or how the hive began, their true origin is as mysterious as the socks that vanish in your laundry. Basically, imagine a dreadful dog that went to anger management but failed spectacularly, and now roams endless bleak hallways trying to make friends by biting them super hard.
Clump, officially known as Entity 5 in the Backrooms, is basically a grotesque ball of human limbs flailing in every direction and ready to ruin your day or your entire existence. And yes, it's as terrifying as it sounds, but also kind of hilarious if you imagine it bumping into walls with all those arms flailing about. Clumps prefer tiny spaces like vents, drains, closets, pipes, and other awkward nooks where they can hide all day like the weirdest, most murderous laundry pile in existence. Most of the time, you'll only see dangling arms poking out, and those arms act like creepy bait to lure wanderers in closer before the clump yanks you into its janky limball core. They're constantly hungry, and when they get really desperate, they'll move surprisingly fast by using their long, powerful arms to propel themselves, making them way more mobile than you'd expect from something that looks like a pile of discarded Halloween decorations. One quirky origin theory says clumps might have started as folklore among an ancient backrooms group called the Encypatheracy, and then manifested into reality through belief, which means they're basically the ultimate fictional creepypasta that came to life and now wants to eat you. They're known for camouflage, patience, and terrible manners, so keep your distance or you might become a permanent accessory to their limb party.
Skin stealers. Skin stealers, officially Entity 10, are giant pale yellow humanoids in the backrooms that look like someone who just walked out of a weird thrift shop, human skin and all, because they literally wear the skin of their victims as a disguise to blend in with wanderers and look all friendly until they aren't. They're super common on early levels like level 1, level 2, and level 3, and have translucent blood instead of red, so if you ever see someone bleeds clear and still insists they're okay, they're probably a skin stealer, not Casper the friendly ghost. Their outer flesh is covered in microscopic sucker-like bumps that cling to peeled-off skin and slowly pump nutrients into it so that the skin keeps looking warm and alive. And after about a day, the skin stealer actually digests that disguise and goes back to wandering around aimlessly until its next hunger strikes. When hungry, they become less accidentally creepy cosplayer and more please run, seeking lone humans to dismember and eat, then use the leftovers as new outfits, mimicking speech by repeating words they've heard without understanding them just to lure in more prey. Sightings of these guys go back years before the famous MEG exploration began, and their knack for looking just human enough makes them one of the more terrifying entities you might meet in the backrooms, because anyone could be one until proven red-blooded.
Hey everyone, thank you for watching until the end. I'll be back with more videos, so make sure to like and subscribe.